Welcome to Isn't It Obvious, where things are obvious. That's going to be the intro.
Welcome back to Isn't It Obvious? I'm Sarah, and there's Micah and Phil, in case you guys want to say hi. Say hi.
Say hi.
Cool. So, my topic. Isn't it obvious that politicians are annoying? No. Dodging too many questions should disqualify a person from holding a position in government.
Oh.
No more dodging questions. Like, no more saying, well, here's the thing, Priscilla, on the news. You have to understand. And then they proceed to go off on a totally different topic that doesn't have anything to do with the initial question. You're just like, could you just answer the question,
Sarah,
please?
the reason why they don't answer questions is the same reason why this 7-year-old in Ohio, Mindy, I met with, who had just received a new puppy.
And yanked, gone from office, disqualified, disbarred, get off of my news channel.
Well, then you have the
so
cost-benefit
sick.
of analysis. How much money is it going to take to replace that seat if they do not, in fact, give enough answers to questions?
Ugh,
I think
I didn't think this far.
my angriest one would be if someone were to, in a
Phil,
real
you're
testimony.
right now. You're coming from a position that clearly shows you don't care about fracking or fracking families. So right
Well, in
now, I
order
just
to
want our
answer this-
listeners to know that you want to
Well,
kill fracking.
moderator, I want to add more time to my clock because I was rudely interrupted. And in order to answer this question, I have to explain to you how I grew up in Pennsylvania. You see, back in Pennsylvania, I was just a little boy, and in Pennsylvania, in
I'm gonna mute
Scranton,
your mic.
I was.
Forget it.
Wait, Phil,
back in the day, my dad
before
would
you
say,
before you don't answer that question about the question you were asked, I have to say, as
Excuse
someone
me.
who also grew up in
Excuse me,
Pennsylvania,
I'm
also in
speaking.
Scranton,
Excuse me.
I have the
I'm
conch.
speaking. Oh my god! I'm so frustrated by these dodging. Like, okay, it's really easy, Mr. 45. Will you, in this moment, disavow white supremacy?
But wait, what do you mean by white supremacists? I mean, are they not my voters? Are they my voters?
"Sure,
Will you
Sure.
disavow?
Of course I
White
will."
supremacy.
Yeah,
See,
sure.
no. But
Right,
also,
sure,
prior
right.
to this, let me say the dishonest media has really shown their true colors by asking that type of question tonight, here and now. And frankly, I'm going to stand on my high horse and not say a thing about that, because that is beneath me and also beneath you to ask that question. How dare you, ma'am or sir?
What about
Do you? Will you, in this moment? Oh my god. It's like, it's a stupid yes or no. It's so easy.
Well, no, see, his funny tactic is he'll say, I disavow white supremacists. Just the line. That's it.
Yeah.
That's still not disavowing them or what their actions are or anything like that.
He just says, I will.
Yeah.
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 Well, I do.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or I do. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, sure.
But then, then it's like, who cares what you say? Because it's a lie.
But let me tell you about this horrible
Who
health
even
plan
cares?
that was put into place that we need to take out that protects people who have pre-existing conditions from being exploited by insurance companies. Because healthcare and the access to an affordable healthcare is a human right.
Well,
I'm
of course
asking
we're
you
going to
about
get that.
vice crimes. I'm asking you about.
I like vices.
No.
I have many vices in my wood shop. I feel they really hold
We're-
down the wood when I'm working on a project quite well.
We're talking about the corrupt judicial system here, not health.
Let me talk about my corrupt
on the-
garden at home has so many weeds in it. Just one pops up here, you pluck it out, two more pop up
One
there.
might say you need to drain the swamp back there, but
The swamp was part of the resale value. The fact that it is nearly semi-aquatic in my backyard.
And this is why we can't just drain swamps. You need a permit, which is why I am for deregulation on laws that just don't help the middle class.
Yeah.
And therefore, I
You
had
guys
posted
so much
bills
right now.
4 years. At my time, I've accomplished more than this candidate has in 47 years.
oh my
But
God.
let me tell you about what I've accomplished in my last 4
I will
years
not
pales in
vote
comparison
for
to
either
what
of
I'm going to
you.
do in the next 4 years if you re-elect me. Because there's going to be more of the same. And at the end of my next 4-year term, let me tell you, you are going to be in a better place than you were 4 years ago today.
What my opponent fails to recognize is that this country has never been greater. It's never been stronger. We're the best at everything. We have never failed at one thing ever. We have the strongest borders, the greatest tanks ever. our airplanes are invisible. You can't even see them.
You see,
And-
what my opponent is also failing to tell you is that your taxes have gone up every single time he's made something to improve our so-called greatest army. And even though I have been in the one in power for the last 4 years, let me tell you something about my opponent that he won't agree with. He is a problem to everything you have in your life.
See, this is exactly the problem here, is that he keeps on mentioning Russia. And that's a big problem, because why are you mentioning Russia all the time?
You're going to
Why are
You're
you
going to say
mentioning
I'm
Russia?
bringing up. Let me talk about this. What don't
have
you
I
bring
done?
up? You don't bring up China, sir. And I think that is a glaring problem that you need to answer
Listen.
for right now.
I don't need to bring up China, because China is everywhere. And that's the problem, because back in the day, what were you doing? What were you doing about China?
All right.
came in
I'm
there
going to
4
disregard
years
what my
ago,
opponent is saying right now, and I have to
Clearly,
say,
you
Sarah,
guys
why are you
not
not
being
moderating
very
this better?
smart.
You were brought here to corral us. Why are you not corralling us? Clearly, me and my opponent can agree on one thing. You are not moderating us.
Well, the problem is I'm debating both you and the moderator, because this is totally biased against me and the agenda.
See, I'm going to say
that
that's a
my
lie
party
right now
is
because
for.
you're not debating with me at all. And that is a bold-faced lie from the
I'm,
words you just said.
I'm enjoying a very nice hot chocolate with a little bit of whiskey in it. And it's nice and warm, and I think we should vote for whiskey hot chocolates. That's what I
No, you have to vote for me, a giant douche. Instead of my opponent, a shit sandwich.
A shit sandwich. Thank you, South Park reference. Yeah, so
All right,
after
what's the
that
topic again?
ridiculous diatribe between you two, I'm not even sure what was happening, but it was interesting.
I haven't talked
And
about the
nothing
debate
of
with anyone.
substance
It's
was
blowing
said.
my mind.
But I would say that it was about as substantial as any of the debates, prior to this 2020 election.
Are
Here.
you kidding me? We had way more of a cordial interaction than the first debate.
I know. I thought we would actually be way more professional when we just did that.
Yeah.
Did he?
The second debate really put us to shame because they were damn near politicians in that.
Nice having a mute button, or the threat of a mute button.
That was absolutely never used at all in that debate.
Anyway, but yeah, don't you guys think like maybe we should put like some fucking, I don't know, rules about obfuscation and
I don't think there should be that. I think every single year there should be a vote to yank someone out of office. A vote. It's always on the ballot.
Nothing would ever get done. They would always be campaigning.
No. It's not the campaigning. It's you have to have greater people voting 30% more that voted for them percentage-wise in order to remove them.
I don't like this idea. I think it's a terrible idea.
Why?
You're not going to get enough people to turn out for these.
If they're
votes.
that shitty, yeah, you will.
I'm going to be surprised if we get above 50%.
But it's only those that voted. That's the number you're dealing with. You're not dealing with number of people who can vote. You're dealing with those that actually voted for your state representative in the House of Representatives. That
I think
throughout
there
their
should
first
be,
year
like,
fucked up so much that you yank them out in the middle of their 2 years. Or you don't have it for
But that's
House members.
But that's basically like what impeachment's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's how many
Yeah, and then how well does that fucking work?
when one corrupt party controls one of the two houses in order to actually remove a sitting president? I feel that's a very specific point. It has to be something in the vote, because then people have the incentive to vote every year because it is a referendum on their elected officials. The fact that the House is always up for re-election, every single seat every 2 years, is check enough. If they've fucked off enough and if they've made enough mistakes, they will be voted out because that's how the House kind of works, or it's supposed to work in air
I think there should just
quotes.
be a fucking law. No, I don't think it should be a vote. I think there should be a law that says
But how do you
if
determine that? What if they're dodging questions because their child is going into rehab for cocaine addiction and you want to keep that quiet because it's a terribly personal matter that has nothing to deal with whether or not you can govern or function in the body of a House or Senate well enough?
Well, that's fine. You
So
can keep
now you're
private
already putting in
matters private.
caviats as to what they can or cannot answer to. And the
I
fact
think
that if you
it
have
has to do with
non-answers,
the
that is
state of
enough
the
to
nation,
remove them from
maybe
office.
It's important. I don't know. I just get so sick of like hearing them not answer questions that are important to everyone.
Yeah, and then
The-
Beto
the private
O'Rourke said,
lives- the
damn
private
right, I'm going to
lives-
come for your ARs and your AKs. And he died in the Democratic candidacy. He was
Okay,
a
my
rising star
problem
until he
here-
committed to that one statement that most politicians, because the Second Amendment is incredibly touchy and incredibly impactful upon your election and re-election in many states, that you cannot take that hard line, especially if you're a representative from Texas. Beto, you idiot.
No, my thought here is that for debates, it's not like a school debate where there's actually structure and points and a judge, and you're supposed to do it properly. Although I really hate school debates. I think that's a joke now today. But anyway, the whole idea of the debate, I think, is that you just look strong and confident. There's no need to actually answer any of the questions. I think the McNamara rule back in the Vietnam War was he just flat out said, I'm only going to answer I'm going to answer any question that you give me, but the answer is going to be the question I wish you gave me. So McNamara being the Secretary of Defense in a very unpopular war where not millions, but in this case,
total millions.
Lots of people were unfortunately becoming casualties of war, and they went to McNamara and said, is your policy of just looking at a spreadsheet working? Like, our young boys are not coming back home. And he's like, the war effort is going great. It's fantastic. We are decimating the enemy troops. We are, constructing hamlets around the villages. We have never been stronger. Like, he would just totally sidestep the question. And it was really effective for the journalists at that time because this guy was just a big weasel. He was kind of coaching the politicians at this time to be like, answer the question you wish you had, and then just go with it.
I hate that.
Nobody's going to stop you.
To be fair, I don't like the questions that are trap questions. I don't think that's very fair. If you ask a question like that's an obvious setup for this or that kind of fallacy or something, do you think there's a problem with the legal system, or do you just hate black people?
Mm-hmm.
Like setting up a false dichotomy like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't answer that question because it's not a fair question.
So then you have to go back.
Then you have to give a politic answer that doesn't answer that question. So I understand that, but the fucking simple softball question of, do you disavow white supremacy?
What about the softball question that is, we have food that has a Chinese influence all across this country in multiple establishments. We call that Chinese food. Is that any different than calling COVID-19 the China flu?
The Kung flu or the Wuhan virus or any of those horribly racist.
But why is it racist when we have Chinese food?
Oh my god, I had this fucking conversation with my aunts.
Sidetrack achieved.
God damn it. So there's a lot of Asian immigrants and Asian Americans who live in California. And my aunt goes to Costco every weekend to pick up her ridiculous amounts of bulk discount foods and paper supply, whatever.
What are you talking about? Eggs are great 2 weeks after their sell-by date.
And she made the comment one time while I was visiting, basically saying, oh, here comes the tsunami. And I'm like, the fuck did you just say?
Where was the earthquake?
Oh my god, I was speechless. This is clearly not okay. In her mind, she's just thinking she's being clever or funny, and I'm just like, no, you're being kind of racist.
I know a Japanese word that I'm attributing to these Hmong and Laotian and Vietnamese
Basically,
refugees that are in California. Aren't I witty?
No, you're not. I don't know how to
It's not as bad as...
No, it's not, because she's not doing it. In her mind, she's not being racist. She is, but she's not trying to be offensive. She was trying to be funny or whatever.
Right. It's that humor based on what misperceived notion of a culture.
Mm-hmm. And she's basically lumping anyone of Asian descent into this group of people that she's mildly annoyed with because she has to fight with them for space to get her fucking American supersized goods. So
it was a conversation I had with my cousin and different aunt. I even forget who the conversation was with because it blew my mind so much. But apparently there's an influx of Somali immigrants to North Dakota.
Oh, God.
Or just they're moving there because better work opportunities from their diaspora in Minnesota. But they were talking about how they would use a sand playpen at a local playground as some sort of toilet. And they were like, it's because they don't know any better. They don't know how to deal with our American things. They don't know what indoor plumbing is or how to use it because, they shit different in Somalia. They didn't use those words, but that was the whole crux of this conversation. I'm just like, hey, you know what? I think schools should eat more bugs as a source of protein. And that shut it down so hard you heard the thud. And they both gave me a weird look as I walked away. So I'm like, no, I'm dead serious about that. People should just eat more insects. It's a more renewable, better source of protein. And you can have it where they take care of our food waste, and that lowers the methane in a lot of landfills that can actually cause literal explosions. And these 6 different steps, but no, they just Micah, he wants to eat bugs. It's but you're not talking about fucking racist Somali shit anymore.
Please.
Oh, Forced integration.
But there
There's
was-
a fucking forced
Okay.
integration.
No, well, there is an economic reason why people are racist. I'm
There
not
is.
saying that this is a
I
good.
think we've discussed this.
I'm not going to say that Asian people are any better, because if you go to like Korea or Japan, I'm sure that they're just very. Well, I shouldn't again say
They're
that
incredibly
it's okay
racist,
to be
too.
racist
This
because they're
isn't
racist.
this isn't just an America problem.
No,
right,
it's
right.
not.
And I would say that as a person of color, like it's a lot easier to live in America than like say back in my parents' country as a minority. But again, that's not like true, wrong, equal, or right. The issue I have with it is that it seems like it's okay to punch up when it comes to humor or culture, and it's not really perceived that way very easily.
Example.
One of the things I can think of is
How is it okay to punch up?
just the type of like humor that we have. It's not okay for me to make fun of someone that's lower in my station. It's kind of seen as crass or just a rude move. But it's okay for me to make fun of billionaires because, you know what, they're just echelon higher than I am. And you know what?
Wait, you're a
Screw those
multi-millionaire where billionaire is an echelon higher?
No. So let's make fun of millionaires. In fact, let's make fun of people who have more than, I don't know, $1,000 in their bank account type of joke.
You have
But,
$1,000 in your bank account?
You
get
don't?
paid?
You
The
have a
idea-
bank account?
You don't?
You have
He has
an
a
ac-
smelly mattress sock. Just
No,
full
like,
There's
of
a reason
toys.
all my furniture is hand-me-downs, all right?
But there's this kind of concept of like, I don't know if it's fine to make a joke, and I really don't know where Asian people fit in the spectrum. Like, I really don't. So I have to sometimes wonder, when people make fun of a group of people, it's usually seen as bad taste if it's, like, again, perceived as punching down. So I'm going to make fun of people that are on welfare or need food stamps. It's like, man, you're kind of being callous or cold or just, where's your humanity? But it's okay to make fun of people that have severe depression but are millionaires, because it's like, oh, they're just being eccentric, and you know what, screw them because they're doing so well. I'm just kind of not sure where, if someone makes a humorous joke, or I shouldn't say that's humorous, but someone says, oh, here comes a tsunami. Is there a factor here in play when she was making this joke, or is it just
She's
Again, a
upset
pun,
that she
or-
has to fight with all of these people who, to be fair, don't have the same concept of personal space that Americans do, if they are indeed immigrants.
Are we dealing with pre-COVID or post-COVID?
I have no idea. This was before COVID, so this
Okay.
was a couple years ago. But so I'm not sure if and I don't think she knows either, if they are immigrants or if they are just Asian Americans, but doesn't matter. In her mind, there's too many of them interfering with her Costco trip, and she's seen that, and I'm sitting here like, this is such fucking bullshit, because I guarantee you, it's just Costco, man. It's always fucking busy. Like, what? I don't know.
Everybody thinks it's the best time to go to Costco when it's their time, but 1,000 people also think the same.
Yeah, pretty much. You live in California, where the population is fucking ridiculous, just in general, in where she lives. I'm sorry.
I think that
like,
statement is fine. California's a big state, shouldn't have 50 million people.
It
Well-
has 50 million people?
Mhm. I think it's like 53 million is their population.
Good lord.
All I'm saying is there's a lot of people, so it does. It does have a very large Asian American population. It does. It has a very large Mexican population, or Mexican American.
It's like across a border and across an ocean from those two areas.
Yeah, it's a good place to
Okay,
live.
well-
A lot of people want to live there.
May I ask a question then? Like a racist question? Like if it was a bunch
About
of white
time.
people that were also shopping at Costco.
We should
was
call
there?
him a blizzard.
We should call him Jesus. But
Ooh,
why is that
the snow is
funny?
flying today at the store.
We can make jokes about ourselves.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But you can't, though.
Also,
Well,
it
I
works
can't.
for
Right.
women.
I'm just saying, why is that funny? Right? Like that's it doesn't
Because we're
seem
white and so are
That,
blizzards.
it doesn't seem. That doesn't seem right. On the logic of it, right? You shouldn't make a joke about a group of people at all,
It's
right?
different when you're the one if you're making fun of yourself, I think that's okay.
It's like how in Minnesota you can make redneck jokes because it's pretty on point, but if you make that shit in Alabama, you're liable to be punched.
Yeah. Well, you gotta be in the in group. You can't be in the out group. And it's okay if you laugh at it, if it's said, gosh. Are we gonna talk about jokes again? What were we originally talking about?
It's your topic. You got to be on point about this.
Dodging too many
Dodging
questions
too many questions
should disqualify them.
from holding a government office.
Oh, as soon as you started on your tangent and I revealed my trophy attained by achievement, I knew exactly what I was doing. We were off topic from that.
Ugh, we should
People-
disqualify you from government forever.
Absolutely
Micah.
not. I have been a perfect politician this entire episode.
No,
That's right.
you should
I
not
have
be.
appeared to humanities of people.
Mhm.
I have dodged every question that has been asked to me.
Well,
And
only
I've also
one-
put forward good policy that we need to follow. I don't see how I'm not a politician.
Micah also laughed on one racist joke, which is also qualifying. as
Damn,
politician.
Skippy.
God damn.
I can't be in the house if I don't have some shit in my ledger.
Mm-hmm.
Vote for me, 2025.
Absolutely
Wait, that's an
not.
odd here.
Shut up,
Nope.
I'm just saying.
Put it right in, Micah. No. Yep. Mhm. Yep. Sorry.
Phil. Well, that's fine. Do it.
I will never.
Next
Forget
election,
it.
put me in for president.
Mm-mm.
Because I will be better than either candidate.
No. No, I don't think you would be. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's because America won't have a 2024 election because we're going to fall under authoritarianism.
No, don't say that. We've been through shit before. We'll be.
We haven't been
Come
through
out.
this shit before.
Yes.
Nope,
Maybe
we have not.
not.
Not with the insidious virus nature.
So, yes, Phil.
I think the problem with dodging questions is that the people don't hold them responsible or accountable to it. When the Joe Biden campaign refuses to answer about whether they'll stack the courts,
Why are you using that phrase as opposed to expanding the Supreme Court?
because it is stacking the court.
Yeah.
How is it stacking the court if it's an expansion that has to go through both the Senate and the House?
Because the expectation is that he will only do this maneuver if his party has enough votes for both the...
Okay, how is
Just
that different
essentially
than
the
Mitch
Senate.
McConnell as the holding a majority of the Senate refusing to put in federal judges that Obama had put
I
into
think the
place?
difference-
What about the rejection of Merrick Garland?
The difference is that McConnell, being as clever as he is using the current existing procedural powers that he has as Senate Majority Leader for his shenanigans.
That's better? Him abusing the system of things put into place because there was
Yes.
a sense that people who had power would govern with respect?
It is
That
better.
he's flying
In
in the face
fairness,
of?
It's better because it's stealth. Like
How is
for
that
you and I,
better then? How is obfuscating what your intentions are through masking it as procedural bullshit better?
because it doesn't blow it up. The difference is between what McConnell is doing is that unless you're an observer of the political sphere, that of all the shenanigans that are occurring at Washington, you would call it and say, wow, that's the Merrick Garland maneuver that he just pulled. But if you mentioned that to a person on the street, they would have no idea what you're talking about because, again, it's too hazy, it's not transparent. And that's exactly the type of thing that he's doing, but it's not jeopardizing the status quo because, again, his moves are so boring and so
subtle.
bureaucratic and subtle. It just seems like, well, it's just business as usual in Washington. They all play their games. Whether that's true or not is different than I'm going to stack the courts. And that's a question I want an answer to. I mean, I really kind of feel like the American
So
people
you're
deserve to
giving
know.
Joe Biden shit for not answering your blatantly one-sided question by saying stacking the courts, using that verbiage specifically. But you're giving Mitch McConnell a pass because he politicked his way out of it?
I'm not giving him a pass, but
So
I
would
You're
just
you
saying it's
give-
better. You're saying what Mitch McConnell did was better by abusing the
Micah-
power that he had.
So, Micah, would you accept the word expansion versus stack, as a more fair question?
Yes, because stack has a
But it's
negative
leg-
and
You're asking the exact same question, just
But
with
you're
slightly
but
different
you-
connotation.
but you're showing your side how you feel about whatever that is. Having an expansion on the court is a debate worth having. Stacking on the court is not a debate worth having because of the negative connotation to it. It's
So
a loaded
perhaps-
question. It's an absolutely
perhaps-
loaded question.
So perhaps people who are asking these questions, so journalists and news anchors and stuff,
Mhm.
should have a more rigorous policy or something to make sure that questions that are asked in a nonpartisan way with
No, because
language
that is not
isn't-
the
with
news.
language that isn't
that
traffic.
is not the news originator's prerogative to make it non-partisan. They want to pick their sides and they state it accordingly, but that also is a reason why politicians don't answer a specific question. If you come up to me
Then
and
they
say,
shouldn't
how do
be
you feel
called
about
news,
stacking the
should they?
courts? No, they shouldn't, but that's a different issue.
Okay, so I'll ask you then, Micah. How do you feel about the Biden campaign non-answer about stacking the courts?
I think it's fine, because if they're asked about stacking the courts, that is a loaded question.
But
If they were
That's-
asked about expanding the courts and didn't answer, I'd be a bit more questioning, because that is more of a neutral position. I feel personally the Supreme Court should be expanded. Having
But-
9 people dictate the legality of certain laws that an already limited amount of our giant population is dictating to a giant population should be expanded, and there should be a more robust debate about the ins and outs of the legality of certain laws.
here's the problem, though, with this, is that I'm okay with Joe Biden just not answering the question and just dodging it. Because he says, well, it depends on many factors of which have not come true at this moment, or something like this. And when they asked his running mate, Kamala Harris, about the same thing, Mike Pence has said, let it be known on the record that this candidate is not answering this question. And I was like, yeah, well, of course, I don't want her to answer the question. I don't want her to ruin the chances. This is about a stealth move as you can get, which is why the voters are giving her a pass. Well, as I imagine the party that she's, the fan base that's going for that group. And so that's why it's okay for people not to answer questions, is why it's okay to dodge. Because when the Republican Party says something like, oh, well, I'm not going to answer questions about Roe v. Wade or any other kind of controversial bill like, Citizens United or whatever like that, because it's not neither the time or place at this moment to politicize this argument. Their base...
That I would say would be fair enough, but then just say, I can't answer that question because this isn't the time or place. This isn't a relevant issue.
But that is based on how the question is asked. If you, as the politician, are specifically asked, would you support repealing Citizens United decision or something like that, and you answer that way, that's also signifying where you stand on that position.
Mm.
Yeah, and the problem is that the base that's going to vote for these people, they want them to dodge.
Or they want them to blatantly support, and a dodge hurts them.
Mm.
Kamala's response to Pence being like, they want to ban all fracking and all of that, and she had to dance around it, the whole latter half of that debate. Even though 30% of people support fracking of most polls. It's an incredibly low thing, but she, in the politicalness of having...
30 isn't insignificant.
Right.
Though.
It's a political calculation that dodge is better than...
Yeah, I was going to say 30
and Trump ran
is
on,
significant.
But Trump ran on saving coal mining industry. And the coal mining industry, though it makes a lot of money, employs less than 1 million people in our country.
I think someone said that Sears at one time employed more people or something ridiculous. Like, one company employed more people than a coal mine in this battleground state.
Didn't save them, did we?
No, neither. No, the idea, I think, is that, like, there is no reason why you should be direct, because dodging is good for your base and also can grab independents. And there's enough hints or dog whistle words to be able to say, well, I know Obama really does care about LGBT. Well, he actually went in the campaign and said that he was for traditional marriage. Mm-hmm. And then later on, when he reversed opinion, he said, well, my ideas on this evolved. And to the surprise of nobody, because we all knew that he was a decent human being and that he couldn't go in the campaign trail against Hillary and say something like, well, actually, I do like gay people. And then he would have lost, because he's trying to get at the time, the moderates who kind of felt that was, too progressive.
A little step too far.
A step too far. But now it's like, well, that's a step not far enough. And he's like, well, my thoughts evolved.
God forbid wanting, equal rights.
Basic human values.
Hey. We as humans have a very strong history of not giving a shit about other humans.
That doesn't make it right.
Like, not interfere either. Like, can we just not give a shit about what other people are doing in the privacy of their own home?
Absolutely
no, because the thought of 2 men or 2 women being intimate and happy in a relationship makes me upset, and they shouldn't have it.
What about an intimate relationship between a man and a woman?
They shouldn't have it. Everyone should be asexual. Do you not get what I'm going at?
You know what? I agree. That sounds great. I think we should just do that. That sounds like a good plan.
Or just go with a Brave New World situation where there is no such thing as monogamy and just everyone can fuck whoever they want, and it's fine because everyone's fucking everyone.
Or no one.
And we're all high on drugs.
That sounds awful. I like the asexual world better. That sounds great. Let's just not and say we didn't.
Just 7 billion datas around the world spouting off random facts because there's no meetings for intimacy. So just everybody just deals with
intimacy.
Facts.
I'm not saying you can't hang out and hug people or whatever. You just...
Hey, we have an airborne pandemic going on right now.
You just...
Who are you hugging?
Don't have babies because no one's having sex. Just kidding. It's all in vitro. It's all test tube babies.
Hey, on that winding ass
Weird
diatribe of
so
whatever
what
the hell
we're
we
really
were
saying
talking
here
about.
is that we have to allow people to dodge questions, is what we're saying.
So clearly your statement was not obvious. Insert foghorn.
What? Foghorn?
I don't understand the foghorn, but all right.
Neither do I.
So dodging the question is an acceptable thing for a politician. God, this is going to bother me less now. I'm going to be watching debates and be like, ooh, good dodge. Even for the sides I hate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Isn't that why you watch debates? It's like
No.
watching a boxing match. You try and see how they dodge the clear haymakers that are coming at them. And that's why it's fun to watch Trump, because he doesn't see those. He's hit in the face by the haymakers, but he keeps pushing forward because he knows no shame.
He's clearly been just hit too many times, so he doesn't have any concept of it.
Yeah,
Anymore.
you've seen him try to string a sentence together. It's fucking awful.
I mean, I have a hard time doing that, so I really can't blame him for that.
It's early voice to text. It's real bad, and you're hoping for like 2 words to be what you want.
See, this is why I will never run for office, because I can't speak either. I feel like there's a difference, though. Like, I know I'm not qualified to run for office, and so I would never put myself in that position.
But I disagree, because you're already a president.
That's true. You already are in a political
I
situation.
hate my life.
Mm-hmm.
Your
It's
next
the
step.
worst.
Your next step is city council.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. You start at HOA, you move up to city, then you move
Okay,
up to
you know what?
state
HOAs
representative.
are the fucking worst, and as soon as I can,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
Right
The only
into the
reason-
mayorship of city here.
Oh god,
Mhm.
this sounds awful.
And then in 2032, we will both be voting for Sarah for state representative.
Oh god,
Well,
Nope.
I mean, I'll be voting for you, but I'll also be your campaign manager, so...
hilarious.
I will also be
Well,
voting.
everybody
but
needs a Stephen Miller, and I'm going just as bald as him, so I'm going to fit that fucking role.
Well, I know I will not have Phil's vote. It's fine. I understand.
No, you'll have
I-
Phil's vote. I know where
Yeah.
he lives.
I'm not a single issue voter. I disagree completely with your asexual platform. However, a lot of the other things I feel like have some really good points. And
Okay,
you know,
listen.
that's fine.
What I said back then was not in line with my policies of how I would effectively
No,
run
sir, you don't
our...
have to answer this. Hold on. My candidate feels that question is under revisement, and we will be glad
I've
to give
evolved
you...
as a person, and
We will be glad
I
to give
just-
you an adjusted response to that in 6 to 8 business months.
business years.
I just want to know why we're all getting shipped cats. Like,
You don't want
I
a
mean,
free
when-
cat?
When will this stop?
Who doesn't want a free cat?
Like, I mean, the first 2 were okay, but like
Listen,
every week seems excessive.
Wait,
There's a
no.
lot of-
We were put into this position. Allow me to give you a little bit of flack here. We were put into this position because we promised a cat a week for every voter, and everybody thought that was a joke. But no, we are
I'm
now.
fulfilling my promises.
Yeah, promises
I'm
made,
fulfilling my
promises kept.
I'm saving many cats from shelters, and I'm now giving them
Wait.
into
to
loving homes.
Wait, no. They were supposed to come from shelters.
Okay, well, my last
I
question
have
to
so many cat mills
All right.
that are going to be very upset now.
in this town hall, I just have one more question for the candidate, which is why isn't anyone doing anything about the biker population? It seems like one day they were vibrant and robust, and suddenly it becomes like there are fewer bikers that are biking in the city.
Probably because they keep getting cats thrown at their heads.
Why did you answer like that? Our campaign is in ruins. You said the quiet part out loud.
Oh shoot! This is why I shouldn't run for office.
You should just have Micah run for you, and then that'll be just
no,
fine.
I would never vote for Micah.
No,
Just Remington steal this in reverse. I'm a great politician with no electability, so I need to get con artist cat person in my place.
yes,
Oh, God.
yes.
This is the worst idea.
Or,
All right,
or
vote for-
now think of this: President of the United States, Sarah, a
No,
cat in every
that
household.
That sounds awful, unless it's New Zealand and there is a cat in every household.
But why not have America be the new New Zealand?
That's too much. That's too many people.
Is it? I'm quite certain you could film The Lord of the Rings across America, and it would be just as good.
No,
Why no?
there's too many people. It's too big.
How
I
is
don't
it-
like it.
Wait, how is there too many people yet it's too big?
I don't like it. It's a terrible idea. New Zealand's magic, and I know.
Harry Potter wasn't filmed down there, so it's not magic.
Yeah, but Harry Potter was set in London, in
No.
Scotland.
Yeah,
in
Hogwarts
the
is not in
UK.
London.
No, but
The train
That's where
station
Harry-
is King's
that's
Cross.
Yeah, so one scene was in
It's an
London. We don't
it's
even
an
know where
important
Privet
scene.
Drive actually is or whether it exists.
it's in Little Whinging.
And is that an actual thing?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure we could have filmed that in Ohio and it'd be fine.
Okay, so Harry Potter is magical, but it's like wizard space, and it's like a pocket
Wait,
dimension.
wait. No,
of-
hold
of
on.
the
So
UK.
Gandalf just falls by the wayside. The Grey Wizard, and then the White Wizard is not a wizard for you. Oh,
But
J.K.
he's-
Rowling
that's
is more than a
but
turf.
See, that's different because like Harry Potter was set in our Earth world,
All right, so
whereas
not to cut you down.
but wizards. You opened the fantasy can.
Well,
There's
on
worms
next episode
everywhere.
of Isn't
Okay.
Obvious.
On the
All right,
next
we'll have this
episode,
dis-
but also for the next
We'll
57
have
minutes.
this discussion another time. That's all. We're gonna stop it there. Okay.
Bye,
I hope
Mom.
everyone.
Bye,
had fun
Mom.
with that. All right. Bye, Mom. Thanks.